What's up? What's up? What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Nikki, and I am back. Um, I hope y'all having an awesome morning this morning. I got up, like I said, I took my little sister to school, and something came over me to just tell this word, just to have this word of something that I went through in the past, but hopefully it will inspire somebody and motivate them to be better or do better in their life. So, y'all, I was maybe about 10, 11 years old. This was before my mom passed. And I met this boy in the neighborhood. I used to spend the night at my aunt's house a lot. And I met this boy. And when I met him, it was like, you know how you have little crushes on people and stuff like that? That's how it was. So, I met the boy. I had a little crush on him and stuff like that. But at that age, of course, I'm not doing anything. I'm not having sex and stuff. It's just, when you see a boy that look good, you're like, oh, he look good. Whatever, as a child. So, y'all, fast forward. After I met him, my dad had started dating a woman. I didn't know who she was. Tell me why, when he introduced me to who the woman was, her son was the boy. Her son was the boy that I had met, that I had a little crush on, or whatever. So I was like, oh my God, like, how? How did my dad meet his mom and I met him at separate times? Me looking at him, telling me he cute and stuff, and then he end up my dad dating his mom. That was just crazy. But so y'all, I would say this. I was young and I had crushes on boys. I mean, he wasn't the first boy that I crushed on, but like I said, I was young. I wasn't doing anything. To me, a crush was all you had to do was see him, look at him, and say hey to him, talk to him, and it didn't have to be nothing. Back in the day, all we did was talk on the phone all night anyway. So, people that we liked and stuff. So it was nothing. It was never anything that I would have made out of it, whatever. But when I met him, y'all, I would say I made probably the biggest mistake of my life. Um, I made the biggest mistake, but I do not regret um the decision that I made, simply because if y'all know where I'm going with this, my daughter. But I would say, okay, growing up, dealing with boys, dealing with men, period, what I have learned is when people are more advanced than you and they've already partake in things that you hadn't did, they can easily persuade you to do things that you were doing. Um, I wouldn't say I was easily persuaded. It took a whole lot of time to get me to do anything. You know what I'm saying? But I did it, and I let it get to me. And y'all, in my head, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. I was young and dumb. I could say that. I really could say that. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking that I would get out of anything of this or whatever. I just don't know. I wasn't thinking. I would say that. I was not thinking. Like I said, I was young and dumb. So when I tell y'all with that situation, it brought a whole lot of hell in my life, but at the same time, I would say it actually brought some truth and some understanding of, as when I got older, dealing with men. Yeah, I don't know if a man could really hurt me when it comes to dealing with other women or other females, simply because I had to deal with stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, as a young child. Of course, I, snuck around, did something I had no business. And at the same time, I had to endure seeing this person with other females, and I can't say nothing or do nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? We young, we ain't together, not together, and don't supposed to be doing anything. But I was young and dumb, like I said, and I was persuaded to do what I, wasn't doing. And was living in, excuse my language, was living in La La Land. I would say I was really in La La Land. I wasn't thinking. I didn't have no thoughts at all. I didn't have no thoughts at all. And actually, when I first did have sex, it was actually after my mother passed. So my mom died in 2001. I ended up having my child in 2003. So I can't say it was just the persuasion. It was also probably the fact that I lost my mom. Like, it was like, after my mom passed, a lot of things like went quiet. Like, I had people around me, but a lot of things went quiet. And what I mean by that is the hope for whatever God had for me for the future. It went quiet. Like, I wasn't feeling like I had anything really to live for. I wasn't thinking. So it was just like, I felt just there. I didn't feel like I had, I had people, of course, after my mom, okay, I'm going to beat up for you and do all this and do that. But nobody that I could say promised me that back then is still a person who is right for me today. And I promise y'all, no lie, I'm not a malicious person. I feel like when you have relationships with people, if somebody just do something oh so nasty and dirty and wrong to you, okay, like sleeping with your man or I don't know, anything like that, stealing your money, even though those are still things that you can get over, I feel like if it's not something of that extent, like something just so major, you should be able to work things out. You should be able to have conversations with people. But anybody that takes a small thing and makes it big, it's not really a person that's really for you. You know what I'm saying? They probably was for you in a season, just like God said. My dear, I always say, people are in your life for seasons. They come and go. And I feel like people that was in my life at that time, if they're not still close to me today, it was just for that season. But y'all, when I could say when I did it, I, like I said, it was just young and dumb, and had lost my mom, and it was just, I wasn't thinking. And, but like I said, I don't regret it because I have my daughter out of the situation. And I'm one of these people that I never really let what people say about me just get to me, because that's your opinion of me. I can't change how you feel about me. I can only change how I feel about myself. I can only change the things that I do for myself. So if somebody come around, like I said, y'all, I've been in a lot of situations. Still, I'm 37 years old, and it's still happening to this day. Where I be around people, and they be having slick things to say, and I promise y'all, if I'm smiling, I'm smiling. At that time, if I'm smiling, I'm gonna continue to smile, because one thing about it, nobody is gonna change. Now you can say what you want to say, but I'm gonna continue to be me with whatever you saying. And if I want to better myself because of me, then that's what I'm gonna do. But I'm never gonna just do something or try to change up me, who I am, because of how somebody else feels about me. No, that's not me. That's not me. And I thank God for having that, giving me that mind frame. And I thank him for all of the hurt and pain, because I tell y'all, when I dealt with this situation, having to do things like that, well, I won't say having to do things like that, but putting myself in a situation like that, I had to endure a lot of other things. I had to endure seeing this person with other females and stuff like that. So it really brought me to the point, as I got older, seeing men or somebody that probably like me with another woman or something like that. It didn't really hurt me. It didn't really faze me, because I know it taught me that men slick, and they'll like you, and then they'll like her too, and then they'll like her too. And it's only who's around at that time. If you're around, he like you. If she around, then he like her. If the other girl around, then he like her. But he really like all of y'all. He might like one of them better than the rest. But that don't mean he gonna be faithful to the main one, because he a man. They boys, and they really not faithful. And at a young age, I wouldn't expect for nobody to be faithful to me, especially when we are not supposed to be doing the things that we was doing, But like I said, it just taught me as I got older how to deal with men when it comes to other women. Like, if I like you, I might deal with it. And like, we all play the fool sometimes. And so we'll, put up with certain things for so long. And then after that, we ain't putting up with no more. Once we tired of it, we ain't putting up with it no more. And honestly, that's the woman who I became. But I'm just so happy that once I met my husband, I won't say that I don't have to, because no marriage is perfect. Nothing is perfect. But I can say I know that my husband is right for me, and I know that my husband is, he has my best interest at heart. We've been together, like I said, 8 years altogether, 5 years married, and it's not been perfect, but I feel like we're working there. We're working to get there. Not a perfect relationship, but a better relationship. We was both young, came from hurt, and wanted to get married and wanted to try to make it work. And I feel like as long as we continue to try, it'll be good. And whatever comes up, I ain't gonna let no chick just take my man from me, if you know what I mean. Y'all ain't never fought over a man. I have never in my life fought over a man. Y'all have to know, these men gonna play the game. In your face, he love you, but as soon as he turn around, he loving somebody else. That's just what men do. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying accept it, because you don't have to. What I'm saying is, you get to a point in your life where you're not going to accept it. But before that point, you get what you can get out of the situation. If you know he ain't no good, but he providing you with something that you like, sometimes you deal with it. until you're tired of it. And that was me. I dealt with a lot of BS until I got tired, and I'd rather be by myself. Before I met my husband, I had any man that I was dealing with before him, I wasn't talking to nobody. I was not talking to nobody, but really before I met my husband, because I was really just tired of the BS, and I wanted me a husband at that point. It was this. I had this homeboy that he died, rest in peace. But I had this homeboy he used to, he seen, when he met me, I was with one person, but by the time he ended up passing, probably was like, I don't know, maybe 10 years later, whatever. I had found my husband. And he said to me, he was like, Nikki, you the only female that I know that I always said you wanted a husband. You wanted a husband. And you found your husband. And I was like, you're right. Like, I really manifested exactly what I wanted. And it came when I was prepared for it. And I thank God for it. That's just, I say, anything that you want out of life, you just have to want it enough. You have to keep saying it, but you gotta have God somewhere in your heart, in your life, where he can make these things true. But you have to be willing to let go of the past and let go of past behaviors in order to receive these blessings. Because you don't want to be the same person that you was in the past with brand new blessings, and because you're gonna mess it up. You're gonna mess it up. So I said, I know I went on a whole lot of different points in my video, but my main thing was, like I said, speaking to the youth and just letting them know, how these boys is, you know what I'm saying? And I know everybody, we live and we learn, and we gotta experience things for ourselves, but don't just feel like you just have to be a thought in these streets, or you just gotta do what other people are doing to fit in. Like, people gonna love you and people gonna like you for who you is, and a boy, he gonna love you and he gonna like you for who you is. And one thing I tried to explain to my niece, when a boy knows that you putting it out and you the one having sex and stuff like that, he gonna go after you. But that don't mean he gonna wife you up. He just know that you having sex and you gonna give it up. That's boys. That's boys. And if he have you around long enough, sometimes he might try to break you. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't having sex and you want to hold it, you know what I'm saying, until a special moment, I understand that. But these boys, sometimes they're not going to understand that. They're not going to respect your wishes. They're going to still try, and they're going to try, and they're going to try, and they're going to try. They ain't going to give up. Especially if they have a lot of long time with you. They're not going to give up. So I would say it's up to you to decide and to choose what you want to do with your body and what you want to do with your life, and stand on it. Like, you have to stand on it, and don't let it break you, because once they get you, like I said, they can keep having sex with you because they know you're giving it up, but you're not going to be the main one in the end. Sometimes I don't see high school sweetheart people that been together since they was younger, liking each other and stuff like that, but majority of the time, you ain't the one that he end up with. So I hope y'all listening to my videos and actually taking something from it, because I don't want to just be saying something and you can't learn anything from what I'm saying. I really want people to learn, my youth to learn something from the things that I'm saying, because it's all experiences. I'm not lying about nothing that I'm saying. I'm telling the truth, you know what I'm saying? And I really pray that I could save somebody from making mistakes in their life and making the same mistakes that I have. Even though I know experience sometimes is the best teacher, sometimes someone else's experience can teach you also. So, y'all have an awesome day, awesome Wednesday. Keep God first. Always have a relationship with God. If you don't work on nothing else, always work on your relationship with God, and everything will always work out in your life. So, I'm not saying that it won't be no bad, but everything will work out for the good at the end. So, y'all have an awesome day. Y'all like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm start rapping on y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment. I'm silly. But y'all have an awesome day and like, comment, subscribe. See y'all later, YouTube.